Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We've got Big E, we've got AJ, we've got Rudo coming to you live. And, I know the offseason's not fully over. I know some moves will still be made. There's still a few guys to still be signed, but it's late July. Eventually, we just got to take a look at the Central Division and see where teams stand, where they're at. And as I was going through this, as I was prepping for the show today, I knew that a lot of teams lost more guys than they gained. That doesn't necessarily mean they lost talent. Some teams brought in higher end talent than they lost, but I was surprised to see just how many players ended up exiting the Central Division this offseason. Some of that is the price of contracts around the league. Some of that is guys retiring or teams just moving on from guys. But I'm a little bit curious on your guys' take on just blanket overview. Do you guys think the Central Division got worse as a whole this offseason?
Yeah. I think the Central took a step back because the top three teams, I know we're going to get into the details of it, but the top three teams got worse. I think it's arguable that St. Louis got better. And Utah's the only team that I think you could say, yeah, they added a real dude. So everybody else I'm looking at saying steps back for me.
Yeah. I mean, God, I hate saying that, but I agree when you're looking at it that way. I agree with it. But I also not because it's like you're in holding pattern, but so far, yes. And then by puck drop, first game might see different. You know what I mean? You might see a different lineup than what you're seeing right now, and that's why I'm always tentative to say okay, and sometimes players don't mesh well with their new teams. I mean, I would have thought Nashville got better last year. And then they were absolutely atrocious. You know what I mean? With their signings and everything. I thought they would have been better. Hey, Nashville got better. But they certainly didn't. So until you see it on the ice. But I agree. On paper, I agree with AJ. I think we all feel the same way. So far, I would have to say yes. So far,
I think it's a really important point, though, that on here it's July 21st. It's been 20 days since free agency opened. We're a couple of weeks into it. Yeah, right now, I don't feel good about it. The top three teams in the Central's off seasons. I don't even feel good about Minnesota. So I guess the top four teams in the Central. But it's a really good point by you, E, that by puck drop on opening night, I expect there will have been some more changes here to these lineups.
Yeah, it's been an interesting off season. I think. One, yes, there will be more changes. We know that. Taking the Avs, we know at minimum they need to add a couple more forwards. But you look around the league, and how many teams really do you feel like got better? We did our top five, bottom five last week or the week before, I forget. And all of us were like, yeah, that fifth team on the top was hard to find. How many teams really can we say had a good offseason? And it's not that many. It felt like it, and this is in part because it was a pretty darn weak free agency class. So there weren't a ton of options to move the needle a ton. So while we talk about some of these teams getting worse, I don't know necessarily that they got so much worse that you're throwing them into certainly not the bottom of the barrel, but at least in the case of Colorado and Dallas, they certainly still should be playoff contenders.
Yeah, I've said this in a couple places over the last couple of weeks. I think the Avalanche roster as it sits today, right now, wins 45 games.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair.
That's a 90-point team, barring the obvious Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, a serious long-term injury to one of the big guns there. I think that it's a 90-point baseline team with some variance. There will be some overtime wins and losses thrown in there that'll throw things out of whack. But yeah, right now I think it's inarguable that they're worse, but I don't think it's I've seen a lot of fatalism around it, and I understand one, that's the internet. Two, it's especially the sports fans. But I guess I just don't. I don't have a three. I guess I don't understand that level of pessimism around it, because I don't think it's losing Jonathan Drouin hurts, but effectively they're replacing him with Gabe Landeskog in their top six for the regular season. They're replacing him with Gabe Landeskog, and so it just sort of feels how can we can't equal parts be, wow, losing Jonathan Drouin was such a big blow, but also, God, he was so awful in the playoffs. He was, we won't even miss that guy. And then a lot of the same voices that had that opinion turned around and were like, losing Jonathan Drouin and Charlie Coyle, those guys are irreplaceable. And you're like, which one is it?
I think part of that conversation is one of the big talking points around the league. Oh, Florida brought everybody back. Oh, the team that just won the cup didn't lose anything, which is partially true, but they are still over $3 million over the cap. They are still going to have to get rid of somebody.
Well, they lost a piece like Nate Schmidt, and forget that too.
They lost minor pieces for sure,
which are crucial to their, obviously the way they play, right? So, Ekman Larson or Schmidt this year, who knows? Is Petrie the guy now? I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know, right?
It is going to be an interesting test of that. The magic that they've been able to perform. Your guy Sly down there on their defense. What does he do with Jeff Petrie?
Oh, we'll see.
He can turn Petrie into gold. He's the man at that point. There's no denying it. All right, are we good to go, Tiff? Should we start with Chicago? Just go alphabetical order. It's fine with me.
No, we're gonna go very slowly in the ones that I've sent in the Slack.
Okay. You have them in the Slack. Cool.
While we're doing this, I'm still gonna we can still touch on some of this, because I see chat talking about I think there was a really good comment here from chat about it's the Avalanche roster is worse relative to Game 7, but better than it was on opening night of last year. And I think when you were talking about a really aggressive Avalanche front office, it's a meaningful point to say they may not do absolutely everything that we want them to do. One last thing that we haven't really talked a whole lot. I'll save this for the Av stuff. I'll save this for the Av since we have Jets on the screen. We'll do this now.
Making a good point there, but sure, we'll save it for the Avs. We have the Jets. Obviously, the big loss for them is Ehlers, who did his whole song and dance to end up in Carolina this offseason. They also lose Mason Appleton, and then Brandon Tanev was a rental for them last year that didn't stay. Their additions are a bunch of old guys for the most part. Pearson, Nyquist, and then the return of Jonathan Toews playing for his hometown team. The part that the additions and departures doesn't show for the Jets is, unless you believe Jonathan Toews can be a quality 2C at this point in his life, the Jets didn't really solve their big problem, right?
Well, and they have a reason, because Adam Lowry is going to miss the first month or two of the year. Similar to Logan O'Connor, he's going to be out for a while to start the season. So Jonathan Taves, like their center depth right now is Mark Scheifele, Jonathan Taves, Vlad Nemesnikov, and then I I don't even know who their 4C, like maybe Morgan Barron. I honestly don't know who their 4C is. It might be one of
Sure.
their kids that they call up to do like Brad Lambert or something, right? But like that's their center depth right now. And I haven't been much of a hater on Taves being a functional NHL player still. I was in on the idea of Colorado bringing him in as like the 3C and moving out Coyle's money. That made sense to me. I was with that. That was fine. But the Jets are asking way more of him than that.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's kind of what they do every year. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense what I'm trying to say. It just feels like it's you're you're patching things a little bit, like Nyquist, Pearson. They're guys that have been patches now the last few years for a few teams. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've just never. I don't know how to say it. They don't scare me. You know what I mean? Like there's teams that scare you. Like this team doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't. I mean, Hellebuck, you're gonna say one, whatever, best goalie in the league and MVP candidate, and it doesn't scare me.
Yep.
And again, whether I'm right or wrong, that's not what I'm saying. It's just a feel, the vibe. I feel that they've kept Velarde now, right? Obviously with that signing, which is good. Guys that want to be there. It's been a little complicated over the years, right? Teams of guys wanted to stay. But whatever the reasons, I'm not here to bash anything, But it's not the market that people think of, like, oh, I'm going to Winnipeg. That's why the Taves thing was great, because I think he could have chosen a couple destinations, and of course he's from there, which makes it a lot better. But Velarde, signs long term, and who else signed long term? But somebody on D2. Was it Pionk? Right? Was that last summer? Whatever. They seem to have kept the guys, which is good. But I think Ehlers walking away. There's a hole there, even though maybe they didn't really appreciate Ehlers as much as maybe he's their like forward at Sam Gerard. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden he's gone, and then you're going to be like, oh, maybe we liked Ehlers. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. They're just. I feel they do this. I think Chevy does a good job. They're well coached. They're the great ownership. The community's behind them all the time. So I mean, again, I don't know why they're just not. I see that logo and I'm not like hiding. You know what I mean? Like going. I see Florida's logo, and again, they want, but I get like, oh God, I'm scared. Where this one, I'm like, yeah, they don't scare me.
It's kind of like you said, like Gustav Nyquist and Tanner Pearson 3 years ago. Those have been really interesting pickups. This year, it's like, how much is left in the tank there? Well, how much are you really adding to your lineup? Taves, like, I get it. He's the hometown guy. You're talking about bringing in a guy into an organization who knows how to win, who knows that stuff. But like AJ said, realistically, can you expect Taves to be more than a 3C? I think it's crazy to expect Taves to just show up and be even like a low end 2C, like a 45, 50 point guy.
Yeah, I think that's a tough ask, and especially with no Ehlers there, who is one of the league's most efficient scorers. His points per 60 was excellent. And when you're looking at, hey, look, I have been a big fan of Cole Perfetti. Rudo used to get really annoyed because of how much I liked Cole Perfetti. But like, that's arguably your best player on your second line right now.
That's not Nick Ehlers.
Right. Like, and then after that, you're Nino Niederreiter. Like, Nino's a good, solid, like rock solid, repeatable player, right? Like what he does night in, night out is valuable, and it doesn't always show up on the score sheet. But you also do have to score. And for years now, he has been a little bit of a disappointment in that, like drives play but doesn't finish. And Like, you're looking at right now their 50-point player in Cole Perfetti as their best player on their second line.
Yeah, it's a steep drop off curve for them, and
I say best.
It only
I
gets
want to
worse.
say most
too.
productive.
Sure.
Most productive,
Fair
because I'll leave the door open that Taves could surprise us all. But right now, it's Cole Perfetti. And even when Adam Lowry comes back from injury, like, Adam Lowry's a really good two-way player. He's a 30-point guy.
Who's going to score?
Yeah, who's going to score? Because they were heavily reliant on their power play to get them through games last year, and their 5v5 save percentage was almost a full percentage point higher than the second best team in the NHL. Like, that is a team that is just flat out due. They have been PDO champions the last couple of years. They've been excellent. They are due for a tough season somewhere, and if they get it, we could see them fighting for wild card really easily.
Feels like Mark Scheifele can't continue to defy the aging curve the way he has so far in his career. But who knows? Maybe Gabe Vilardi can step up for them and be a point per game player or something to help fill that void. But the Jets are who they are. And when you look at who they lost, who they gained, did they do anything to stop their problem of struggling to get through playoff rounds? My answer is no. So,
yeah.
Is what it is. We do got to take our first break of the show, though, so let's make sure we hit that and are paying our bills here because, thankfully we don't have to pay NHL salaries. But you know what? You should go over and get with Cake Mortgage. Buying an investment property should be straightforward, right? Find a place that cash flows, make your down payment, and start collecting checks, right? Should be simple. Wrong. First, it's time to get a loan, and suddenly you're trying to justify every tax write-off and business expense you've ever taken as a tax deduction and explaining to some mouth breather that why it's good for your CPA to make you look quote-unquote poor on paper. That's where Cake Mortgage comes in. Traditional banks and lenders seriously don't get it, but Cake does. At CakeHome.com, we specialize in business purpose DSCR loans. Translated, DSCR means debt service coverage ratio, which is a fancy way of saying if the rent covers or nearly covers the mortgage, we can probably get you funded. You can head to the link down in the description of the video or call 1-888-EAT-CAKE or go to CakeHome.com. So if you always dreamed about owning income properties or you're building your real estate legacy, call 1-800-EAT-CAKE. Again, link in the description. Cake Mortgage Corporation, equal housing lender, NMLS, number 1734623. Licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. Once you're all set up with your mortgage, I think you've probably earned an ice cold Coors Light at that point. Choose chill today with Coors Light. Weather outside, still great for grilling, still great for hanging out and enjoying a cold one. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can with Coors Light to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink whatever the moment. You can jump in, you can go to any liquor store in the country basically to find them. You can also go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and get it delivered right to your front door if you're lazy like me. So go grab yourself a Coors Light cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold package for a smoother finish. Embrace the chill mindset today and choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Of course, jump in with them at CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Again, thanks to Instacart. You can get it delivered right to your front door and, let them know we sent you over there. Appreciate showing us a little bit of love. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Please drink responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's move on to, I think, one of the teams we feel like got better in Utah. Now, I think that we are pretty much basing Utah getting better entirely off of Peterka. Not that Tanev isn't a fine piece, but how much does he really move the needle? Vanacek will be a backup goalie for them. Maybe even a third, depending on Ingram, what they're doing with Ingram and Vejmelka. The other moves are whatever. Their losses, Josh Doan, all right, that's a depth guy you move out. We talked about Kesselring. I think most people like him, but was just worth moving out for Peterka. Then you have the weird one is Matias Maccelli, right? Which he had a horrible year last year, but
Yeah.
is there a bounce back coming for that guy? Is Utah going to regret that a little bit? I know he asked for a trade out, so maybe this was happening no matter what. But that feels like the one piece that could come back to bite them.
Yeah, I think this one it's obviously headlined by JJ Peterka. He's the best player on this list. Nate Schmidt will help them, and I think Vitek Vanacek will help them stabilize that second goaltending position, which like Connor Ingram's been a little unreliable on and off the ice. So that's, it is what it is, right? With Peterka, I think a lot of people really fell in love with a deeply flawed player who scores pretty much only in transition. And he's going to have to round out his game a little bit better in order to be a more reliable contributor and kind of be the impact player he was talked about. Some of these other swaps, though, at this point in their careers, I think Kesselring is better than Schmidt. Both Bukestad and Doan are significantly better than Tanev. Tanev is a guy who has hit the wall the last couple of years and just is not good anymore. He's just not good. Great locker room guy, great veteran guy. Like that's important. But as an actual on ice, that's a downgrade to go from Bukestad and Doan to Tanev is a downgrade. And then obviously Michelli is. How much do they really miss a guy who was so bad for them last year, but was so good for them the 2 years before that? Is a tough question because like last year they could live without that version of Matias Michelli. But if they get anywhere, if Toronto gets anywhere close to the version of Michelli from the 2 years before that,
50-point version, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that Utah really got that much better. But I do think that in like again, the best player on this list is JJ Peterka. That's an addition. So they're winning.
I mean, Utah just desperately needed someone else who can produce at least in the ballpark of the range of Clayton Keller, right? It for the last couple of years on offense, it feels like it's been Clayton Keller dragging this team to relevancy year in and year out. And yes, Logan Cooley's on the way up. Yes, they have some other young pieces that are on the way up, but they're not contributing to the level of even a Peterka did last year. And is what Peterka did repeatable? Maybe. It's not. His numbers aren't so outrageous on the underlying side that you're saying there's no way he can do it again. He could do it again.
Definitely.
So my problem with this team is, does Peterka make them better? Yes. Does it make them so much better that they're really a contender? I would say no. Are they a legitimate threat for a playoff spot though? Sure.
Yeah, I like him for the playoffs.
Well, this is the team that I said the other day. I said it, I'll say it again. This is the team that's going to feel the pressure this year to get in, because at some point you need to get in. You can't just say you have 38 draft picks and 42 next year and 107 the year after. Like you have to, this is you get judged on playoff performance. That's what we do in this league, right? We're not talking about anybody else but the Florida Panthers right now, because they're the ones that won when it mattered. So at some point, new name, second year franchise, move from Phoenix, great ownership, seems to be like totally different than what they had in Phoenix. No offense to the way Phoenix, but Phoenix it's been years and years and years where it's been just a tough get for the players. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. It was hard. Now you have an ownership that cares. You feel you have the players. You just said the Kellers. They feel that the goalie's their guy, right? I'm not going to butcher his name again because I always do it. But at some point, and then they make the trade for Peterka. You do a deep dive. Is Peterka the guy that put up points on a bad team in Buffalo? I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? At some point, it's the same thing, right? You got to put up points when it matters. You got to put up points when, October, November, yeah, you don't win the Stanley Cup, but you get yourself out of the Stanley Cup race. We all know that in those 2 months because a lot of guys can't play in those months. They just can't. They can when the season's over and they're out of the playoffs, and then they have 20 points in 15 games to finish the year, and you're like, oh great, oh this player is so good. Now at some point they're going to feel the pressure. I do believe adding Nate Schmidt. I said that earlier. This is a guy that's won now. It's great for the locker room. You said it on Tanev. I agree with you. Ever since he blew that kiss there in the playoffs to our Avs fans or whatever it was on the window there, he hasn't been the same. And I was always a big fan of his. And since then, I haven't seen it. Obviously, you're losing Doan and you're losing Bukestad, and you were talking about Kesserling, and we'll see how this guy does in Buffalo. And then Michelli didn't really pan out well last year. We just talked about that, so it's not like a big loss for them, from last year's lineup. So I think they're the ones that they had to make a move, and they did their big move. Hopefully it works out for them. They seem to be like good dudes. And then same thing with the Bear behind the bench, you're going to start feeling it. At some point you got to get out there and win when it matters, not win in March when, you really are a long shot to go into the playoffs and then you go on a nice run. Great. No, you got to go on the run in October, November, and then keep the pace and get in the playoffs. And that's where this team needs to go. If they don't make the playoffs, for me, that's a failure for them.
I think that's a fair statement, but we do need to move on here. I think Dallas is next in the list. Let's just do Dallas next.
I'm tired.
Should be a pretty quick one. Not a ton. Look, I will say there is some addition by subtraction that Dallas did do. Moving on from Cody Ceci, being able to get rid of Matt Dumba's contract. They free up a good amount of money that way. They get rid of some poor quality defensemen. But then they also lose Dodonov. They lose Granlund. They have to trade away Marchment. And the only addition that really will have any impact on their NHL lineup is bringing back Radek Faksa. Are they looking for improvements from some of their depth young guys like a Maverick Bork? Probably. But I don't see a world where you can say Dallas got better this offseason.
Yeah, and when we look at their biggest deficiency on their roster last in their playoff run, it was the right side of their defense. And right now, they've removed Cody Ceci and they've removed Matt Dumba. And the only guy that they're adding is Miles Lundqvist, who was hurt last year. So you drop Lundqvist into the right side of that, and Lundqvist is fine. But is he a needle mover on that back end? I don't think so.
I mean, Glenn Galuzza might actually play him at least, but
yeah, so your right side right now is going to be Heiskanen, Lyubushkin, and Lundqvist, with the left side of Lindell, Harley, and Bichel. That left side rocks. The right side, Miro Heiskanen is obviously the man. He's awesome. But Lyubushkin and Lundqvist, those are both third pairing defenders. Even in Colorado, both of those guys would be on the third pairing. And I don't even know if I'm playing Miles Lundqvist over Sam Malinsky right now. So
somebody,
it's. So go ahead.
No, I just want to say, and in chat there, Jay Crotty there, he's right. Is Gulletson going to be better? And Pete DeBoer's been masterful there in Dallas. Let's not kid ourselves, and that's a departure. Is Gulletson better? Again, what are the effects on? I don't think. What's his name there? Otter. I don't think he gets rattled much. You know what I mean? So I think he would have been fine even if Pete was there. But I think you're banking on growth, like Onger being better. You're banking on Robertson being better. You're banking on, if you write the name, we all know who Maverick Bork is, and we all know Dallas fans know who Maverick. But the average, fan follow Dallas. Maybe you write down on the list Maverick Bork. You're like, who's that? You know what I mean? Who's that? You know what I mean? So where I think he's going to be a contributor, and that's where obviously he couldn't be there. He was kind of pushed down a little bit from the Dodanovs, and obviously they're going to miss Marchment. I don't care if you like him or not. He's impactful in a game. You always say his name, whether he's just bugging you because he did something or he's acting stupid, whatever it is. But I like Mason Marchment. So at the end of the day, he's going to be missed. They're going to miss that. They're going to miss his size. He played well with Dutchy and what was it, Sagan or whatever. I mean, those guys, so that's a loss right there. But they're banking on guys stepping up. So again, I'm tired of talking about Dallas. I respect them. I'm saying we've talked about them so much because of the Mikko and then the playoffs. But for me, I don't think they got better. There's no way you can say this team got better.
Yeah. Mikko has to be a monster for them, right? That's their best out for being as good as they were.
Well, and you can't just discount. I know a couple of these guys didn't have very good postseasons. Dodonov had a 40-point year. Granlund had, I think, a 60-point year, and Marchment had a 45-point year, 47-point year. Well, and look at the addition, Radek Faksa. They need Maverick Bourque to be awesome and take a big step forward for them. Need it.
What was a team that, look, obviously the Avs lost the playoffs. I don't want to get into that, but going into that series when we were looking at Dallas, their one big check mark against anyone was their forward depth is incredible. They have unbelievable depth lines 1 through 4. And now you look at their bottom 6 and you go, it's okay. It's not awesome. You don't have
it's a
Mason
normal
Marchment.
Bottom 6.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Colin Blackwell is now an everyday player for you, whereas he was like a 13-ish forward for them last year. Scored a big goal against the Avs, but
right now your bottom 6 without injury is it's like Oscar Back, Wyatt Johnston, Maverick Bourque, Sam Steele, Radek Faksa, Colin Blackwell. It's fine. That you have Wyatt Johnston on your third line, that's awesome. Maverick Bourque could be really good.
Special. He could be.
Right,
he could also
but every guy after that, you're having a real conversation about, are these guys even Sam Steele's the only guy that broke 20 points last year. So you're talking 4 of your bottom 6 forwards right now are guys that didn't even break 20 points last year, trying to replace 3 guys who broke 40. You got worse. Their superpower was their forward depth, and it got significantly worse, and their defense has gotten no better. And to make matters worse for them, last year they traded a first-round pick for CC and Granlund. They don't have first-round picks in 2026 or 2028. They have a 2027 that they can use. But that would give them no first-round picks for 3 years. So, and we're talking about one of the elite draft and developed teams in the NHL. They should be valuing those picks a little higher because they do such a good job there. So, right now, they've gotten worse there. And that's why when we talk about it, why are they talking about trading Jason Robertson? It's that. They effectively have already replaced Robertson with Mikko Rantanen, and they could probably get the kind of young impact defender that they really, really need, and they can more easily replace a top 6 wing. Robertson's great, but what's more valuable? Now that they have Mikko, what's more valuable? And I think that's where that conversation is.
I would agree. We do have more to talk about, but it is time for us to take our second break. So let's take our break, and then we'll get into the remaining teams in the Central Division. Look, some of these lineups, a little stinky, okay? Make sure you're not stinky like some of these lineups and get yourself over with Mando. You can get in. They take care of every aspect of a man's body when it comes to its smells, including butts, balls, butt cracks, grundles, you name it. Mando has you covered. They have a bunch of amazing scents, including bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sports. A ton of amazing products as well. Highly recommend getting in with their starter pack right now, which comes with 4 different items: a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, and 2 items of your choice, including things like mini body wash or deodorant wipes. All of that comes in a package with free shipping. And then on top of that, our listeners can get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive DNVR code over at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping with code DNVR. Get over there, go get yourself smelling right, get your favorite products, use the DNVR code to make sure you let them know we sent you over there. Go check them out if you haven't yet. Bunch of great deals with 20% off site-wide. Ton of awesome stuff. Again, that's shopmando.com. Please support us and support Mando. Once you're smelling good, feeling right, I don't know, tasting good. Can you taste good if you smell good? I don't know how taste works. Don't ask me. Make sure you're also taking care of your money, whether it's wanting to stop some frivolous spending or just wanting to be more aware of where you stand. That is where Monarch Money comes into play. If you're like me, you probably have a bunch of subscription services that maybe you've forgotten about or you've overspent on. Monarch Money can help with that, but they do more than just that. It's more than your average budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center for your accounts, your investments, and your goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners over at monarchmoney.com. Use that DNVR code. You can build the life you actually want by managing money using simple terms and making it easy for you, even if you have a busy life. You can track your spendings, your savings, and your investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most. Jump in with Monarch Money today. It was named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. You can get control of your overall finances when you use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Who's next? Chicago? Jumping in with Chicago. I hated Chicago's offseason. I know you were on board with this. TJ Brody, they bought out, fine, whatever. Pat Maroon retired, fine, whatever. They moved Veleno in the Burakovsky trade. I actually like that move. The Burakovsky move is a shot that was absolutely worth taking for Chicago. And then the only other thing they brought in was Sam Lafferty. And let's not pretend like Chicago was all that close to being a good team last year. And this is all that you did? It just feels lacking to me.
I'll jump on first. I just want to say, because I'll be quick on this one. Very much like Utah, whatever. What I was saying is, like, at some point you got to turn it around. You know what I mean? At some point you have a cornerstone piece that everybody thinks is, generational in Bedard, right? So for me, I understand that they have a lot, for more, and the list goes on, right? Of guys that they have, young guys. But at some point, they all can't play. They're not all going to play because some of them are not going to develop, And if you had just a bunch of rookies, it's not going to work. So you need some veterans. You need some guys. And I just feel that it's going to be hard and it's going to slow the pattern down. And they might lose guys along the way because they're not well surrounded. You know what I mean? In my book. I would have liked for them to get, like, this offseason some guys. And I'm not saying to go sign the 38-year-old. That's not what I'm saying. But I think they could have tried to get some people there. And I just feel it's going to slow down. Yes, they got Burakovsky. Fair. You know what I mean? So that's a fair trade they made. And then I just feel it's going to slow down their development. And you need to – it's a tough league. It's a tough league, and you can't just say, "Oh, we have all those young guys." Yeah, but those young guys are used to being the guy. They're used to being the good ice. They're getting the good ice, and all of a sudden, some of those guys won't be getting that because there's only so many jerseys. There's only so many top 6 jerseys, and then you're put in an environment where third, fourth line, and that's not who you are. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I can't see it. I would have done it differently. Of course, I don't run the Blackhawks, but I would have done it differently a little bit, where I would have brought them some meat and some people around them to try to make that step to go a little further along. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup. That's not what I'm saying. I understand they're in the rebuild, but at some point, you got to show a little bit of progress.
Yeah, I just don't know where else they were gonna go and add guys, because you do want to be able to give guys like Frank Nazar, uh, Landon Slaggert, Oliver Moore. Those are all guys that you want to take a step forward this year and actually get in there. And if you go and they add Burakovsky, they keep Donato, they've got Teravainen, they've got Bertuzzi, they've got Foligno, they've got Dickinson, they've got Mikheyev. Like there's like are they just swapping out veterans at that point for the sake of swapping it? So like I don't have a problem. The reason I haven't had a problem with their offseason is because I just don't know what else they were going to do other than like swap Mikheyev for a different version of Mikheyev, like that kind of deal. And then their entire defense is kids except Connor Murphy. So the defense, I might have even like brought somebody else in just for that exact reason, to try and not just say, hey, everybody go drown together, I just don't know. I don't know what else they were supposed to do.
I'll tell you what they should have done. They should have gone and got JJ Peterka.
Okay. I won't argue that. I'm good with that.
Like, my problem here is, and we talked about this in our top 10 young guns of the descent with Connor Bedard, of how good is he really on his own. Give him somebody to play with. Taylor Hall did not work. Andre Burakovsky could have a revitalization in Chicago. It's possible, but you're telling me that's the best player in your lineup that you can put with Connor Bedard? Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give that guy some help. I know you need room for your young kids, but give Connor Bedard something to play with. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, but also don't do something irresponsible just for that reason. And that's where your Peterka argument makes perfect sense to me. Like I've got no issue.
He's young
that
enough.
Tracks. Yeah. That would have been such a good fit, especially because they've got all the defenders. But to the point of adding it, like they may not even have ice time for Lucas Reichel right now. And what Eric is saying, you let all the kids play. Great. Not all those guys are going to pan out. Lucas Reichel is a great example. They've been letting Lucas Reichel try and get through this thing, and he's fine. He honestly should be an Av right now, not a Blackhawk.
I don't disagree.
So, like I don't know how much more of those guys they can go and add, the veteran guys, to try and stabilize. But also, I think they've put themselves in this position by loading up on so many picks at one time that it's like, okay, well, your youth movement is all hitting at once. It's not staggered that well. They're all happening in the same like 2-year window. This is one thing I've loved about how the Flyers have rebuilt, is they've staggered all their multi-year draft. Like they've had multiple years of multiple first round picks, and they intentionally don't give me 3 this year and 4 this year. They're doing 2 at a time, so that they can kind of like work their way into it and have those guys all hit a little bit different times. Chicago's are all trying to do that all at once, and that's put them in a bad position.
And that's what I was saying earlier when I said I used the term jerseys. Same thing, ice time. You know what I mean? Like at some point, it's what I was trying to say. And then don't sleep on a guy. Right. And I want the Avs to, because at some point there's too many guys. They have too many guys. They have too many prospects. I mean, they've been drafting, getting picks for so many years now. But don't sleep on my guy, Ryan Green. I'm telling you right now, be a great third line center one day for the Avs. Let's go get him. The Avs people are watching. Please go get him.
We'll see. Let's keep rolling. Let's do St. Louis next.
This one's easy.
Yeah, it should be pretty quick. The Bolduc for Mailloux trade, I think we feel like they lost that deal. They got rid of some of their old defensemen and lost Radek Faksa. They brought in Bjugstad, decent depth center for now. They've overpaid Pius Suter and are praying he continues to perform at a rate that he hasn't for his entire career, but had a great year last year. And that's about it.
Yeah, Logan Mailloux might be the good puck-moving defender that they need. Maybe. I thought Bolduc was a heavy price to pay in that deal. I really like Zach Bolduc. We've talked about it a few times on episodes of this pod already. That we're all very pro Bolduc and not such big fans of Mayu. Bukestad and Suter are fine. They'll make their center depth, their bottom six better, and that's fun. Losing Letty and Suter and Sutter is like neat. Like they were bad.
Not a ton of
so
needle moving either
good job.
way for St. Louis, really. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a little bit different, and that's not necessarily better. They could be better, but it's really dependent for me. It's really dependent on Mayu having a big year.
It's fair.
Well, that's where they're banking on him being awesome down the road, right?
Yeah.
Big right. You're looking at their D right now. Does that mean that they're looking to maybe, if he takes over a little bit, that maybe eventually they move on from Parayko or Falk? I'm just saying, you know what I mean? On the right side, maybe that's what they're planning on. And that's why they're trying to do it that way. But yeah, Bolduc. I mean, if you remember the game, I wanted to eat him. God, I wanted to just eat him. He bugged me in those 2 games, and I thought that was a great pickup by Montreal. And again, they have an abundance of talent on the back end, Montreal, right? You know what I mean? With Mayu, and then obviously Hudson took over everyone last year, just jumped the ranking on everybody else, and then the Randbackers come. Obviously was hurt last year, but he's coming up, and so they were able to move on from a guy like that, and then they knock off that French piece, right? In Bolduc, and then that forward with some grit and some jam, and that can score. So I mean, I thought it was good. As far as St. Louis, well, you can't say. I mean, they're just being different, right? You know what I mean? So they're just kind of
continue to be a first round exit team. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just trying to be different a little bit, which
all right.
We'll see.
Nashville. Another team I don't think there's a whole lot to say about. The Perbix deal was nice. I think we all liked that deal. They go out and get Nick Hague, not my favorite player. They paid him a lot of money too, and then they added the last year of Eric Howlow's deal as well in the offseason. They lose Lausanne, who had kind of fallen out of favor on that defense. They also lose Sissons, and Frana was he played 20 games for them or something. They didn't really lose a ton besides Sissons. They didn't really add a ton to their lineup. Honestly, it feels more than anything like Nashville is hoping next year they don't have a season-long PDO bender in the wrong direction, and they might be okay.
Yeah, I love Nick Perbix. He was really high on our free agent board because I think he's one of the more undervalued guys. But all right. Nick Hague, I think they balanced a really good contract in Nick Perbix with a really bad one in Nick Hague, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Eric Howell, I just don't understand. I don't know why he's there. That's another one of those acquisitions where it's like, oh, well, we needed a depth center, and Eric Howell fits that bill. But my question is always, to what end? What are you trying to accomplish? He's 34 years old. He's got 1 year left. If you move him at the deadline for a 3rd round pick, great. Then I get it. If you just let him play out the string, then I don't understand it. This is a who cares offseason to me.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, after last season, that was a busy offseason. I mean, I'm talking about offseason. That was a busy one. They certainly went more quiet this summer. But they move on from a guy like Sissons that's been there 10, what is it, at least 10 years, right? And then, you know what I mean? I know because Avs fans, we hate it because he always produces against the Avs. But, I like Hague. I think that's a good pickup. Different. He'll bring something different there to their lineup. Holla, speed. You're right. Is it just to see how it goes, and they need a body, and they don't want to, or they don't have anyone that's young and that can step in. And then they do that. And then you guys love Perbix, which is fine, and I don't mind them. And then so again, I think it's just it is what it is. I think it's a very quiet offseason.
Yeah.
Can't say they got better or worse. I mean, it is what it is. I think these guys are they were so bad last year. The first 2 months of the season, they just never recovered. And
they're stuck in limbo, right? They went and got a bunch of old guys to try and go all in, and it was an absolute disaster. And now either all those old guys need to bounce back and they try again, or they're screwed. Like
with heavy contracts, those guys like Stammer,
Yep.
March.
Yep.
It's a lot of.
All right, keep rolling. Minnesota, another one that I don't think we'll have a ton to say about. On the incoming depth piece, Nico Sturm. They also, for some reason, let Detroit out of Tarasenko jail. If he's bad now, I don't really understand that. And then they let go of a bunch of guys for the most part. I know, AJ, you were interested in Brazeau this offseason, didn't go to the Avs ultimately. And then Declan Chisholm. I'm arguing that he lost his job entirely because he created the Ross Colton meme, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that turnover has kind of been Declan Chisholm's whole problem.
Yep.
A lot of good underlyings. He does a lot of things well. There's a lot to like about him as a player, but he makes some absolute, like, shocking mistakes sometimes. And you just go, okay, well, this is what we talk about with Sam Girard and Josh Manson. You guys do 90% of things really well, and then the other 10% destroys all of the rest of that. Chisholm is kind of that guy, that type of guy. So I'm not. It's fine. Bringing back Nico Sturm and Vladimir Tarasenko, whatever. They're the same.
Yeah.
Yep. Whatever is the word.
I don't mind they brought that. I mean, Nyquist was, played well for them. Goodrow, some people like him, some people don't. Again, he's a depth guy. I know
He's
you
a
don't
bum.
like him. But you know what? Like, he can't really skate, but he's smart. And he did well there. He had a purpose. Hank's cousin, I'm not familiar with him besides the meme. You know what I mean? Like from that play with Colton.
From Colton. Yeah.
Yeah. Hank's cousin. Yeah. We're not sure. We're calling him Hank's cousin. We don't know that.
They got the same last name.
Yeah, there you go.
He's
and
dating
Brazeau,
a girl from Minnesota, so.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe they're related. We'll have to ask Hank. Brazeau, I like it. The speed's not there. The feet are heavy, but I don't know why. Heavy boost, but he's just a big body. I've always liked him, and I don't know. He did okay. I mean, he wasn't there very long, but he did okay there. So I don't know. I think these guys, like we talked about, it's all what are they going to do with what's his name there? The guy that's unhappy there, the Rossi. What are they going to get for?
Still work to do for sure.
They got work to do there, and you're probably going to see some additions there if they decide to move them. So we'll see what happens.
It's the consensus we seem to be coming to is the blah middle of the Central is still in fact blah. So
yeah. Yeah.
Lastly, we have the Colorado Avalanche, of course.
Sure.
Not a whole lot to talk about. Yes, they had some internal signings, but the only actual addition that will have significant NHL impact is Brent Burns. It's a good one. We like the opportunity for him here. It's still a little bit weird that they have 4 right shot D, but it makes sense as a guy to get. Obviously, they're going out. Miles Wood, pretty easy one to move on from. Lindgren, seeing the deal he got, pretty easy one to move on from. And then you have Kivy, Druin, and Coyle, which is, given the situation with a healthy Landy, you're essentially the Avs got rid of their entire third line.
Yeah, we could have made an argument for additions being Gabe Landeskog on here, but
I wasn't going to do that.
This is a semantic debate. This is a semantics debate, but yeah, you look at what have they replaced those guys with? Miles Wood they had already replaced, so they're fine there. Ryan Lindgren they replaced with Brent Burns. This feels fine. Kivi Ranta's still unsigned. He could come back, so that's may not even be a true departure until he signs somewhere, until the Avs spend money. Duran, we've talked about. Charlie Coyle's more replaced by Jack Drury, which right now would be a downgrade. And then Jack Drury was a great fourth line center. Right now, the 2 guys that we kind of have penciled in to replace him are Parker Kelly, who we've talked about a lot. Not a very good center. Really needs to be at wing to be maximized. And the kid coming over from the KHL, Zakhar Bardakov. is the guy that they really like for the 4C job if they don't go out and add another one. So that is another guy that I think that it's like an internal addition. So that's where, like that's if he can do that job, then you end up okay. How different are Coyle and Drury at this point? I still think Coyle's quite a bit better, and I think that that's the position, especially with like Jack Roslovic still sitting in free agency. That's the position that feels like the biggest true downgrade, because even if you don't want to consider Duran for Landeskog as a replacement off the playoff roster, keep in mind Ross Colton wasn't playing in that series, so Duran gets replaced by Ross Colton from Game 7, right? Like you could make that argument too, that there's a reason Jonathan Duran isn't back. Had Landy not been able to come back and he was done, I would bet everything under the sun that Jonathan Duran is an Av right now. But not the world we're living in, so it is what it is. I think the only real problem off this list is Charlie Coyle, and the fact that they're still sitting on like $6 million in real cap space that they can spend, and they could stretch that out if they wanted to with the Logan O'Connor injury. So there's work to do. They're worse, but I do think that list is a little deceptive.
And if you look at it, the some of the guys that they have on those rosters right now in those spots, right, on Puckpedia or whatever, it's not going to be that. Yeah. No offense to those there, but we all know it's not going to be that. I agree with Charlie. His assessment. Again, he's the guy. When he's gone, now you're like, oh crap, man, we were pretty solid there. Again, they didn't get the results. And all those names you're seeing there, none of those guys were outstanding in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And there's a reason that, the Avs didn't go through. You know what I mean? So, and again, the whole team was pretty, average, and I thought they should have won in 4 and 5. So what I'm saying doesn't really make sense. But at the end of the day, you lose, you move on from guys, and that's what it is, and that's every year. But yeah, I think Coyle is a hole there. The Cat, if he wants to come back, you guys know that Cat's fine, whatever. He is what he is. And we all know Lindgren's gone, but and Wood, but we shall see. They will do some additions there. I'm still crying right now for my guy. What's his name? Grizzly Bear. So one more shout out to Grizzly Bear.
If the Avs over the next month and a half sign Jack Roslovic, sign Kiviranta, you feel a good bit different about their bottom six than you do today. To me, the Avalanche list feels the most incomplete so far this offseason of any of these Central Division teams.
It definitely does, because Winnipeg, there isn't a guy out there for them to go and solve their biggest hole.
It, yeah.
For once, the Avs aren't in that center market. I say for once, they were literally not in that market last summer when they signed Casey Middlestat, and we all thought we were good. But like Dallas, the problem with Dallas is they had to give away Matt Dumba for Kolyachonok, who we don't have on the list, and he could factor into that defense at some point. But again,
you're down bad if he makes your defense. Yeah.
Right, does not solve their problem, does not fix what they need to do. Dallas has $1 million of space.
Yep.
There isn't anywhere for them to go. Without moving more guys off their NHL roster. The Avs have several million. They can talk about Olofsson, Roslovic, those types of guys. They have a little bit of flexibility, and I think that's the big frustration with the Coyle Wood deal right now is the flexibility they created hasn't been used. It's just sitting there right now.
Agree. That's the biggest take I've seen there too.
Quickly on the chat there, Breckton, I want to make sure we're talking about Olofsson from Vegas, not Double O. Right? I want to make sure.
Yes. The Victor, not Oscar.
All right. We're good.
To your last point there, AJ, Dallas only has like 1 million in space. St. Louis has no space. And you look at some of the teams that do have space. Wild has a bunch of space, but they have to figure out their Rossi situation. Jets have a lot of space, but they do need to sign Sandberg. That's not going to take up all of their space, but they still do have work to do. And then the other teams are, kind of bad. I guess Mammoth still have some space, but what are they going to do after the Paterka thing? I don't know. They might have a move in store. But yeah, the Avs have some flexibility in part because they didn't have a lot of internal stuff that they decided to do by letting Druin go, by moving on from Coyle and Wood. It simplified their internal stuff. Now it's just, all right, we're still waiting for them to make the next move.
Yeah. Yeah, the definitely the incomplete here is Colorado. I do wonder, is Dallas seriously going to do this again? There's no way that Jim Nell is looking at that and going, yeah, this is fine. But again, with the money that they have, like if they make a move, a Jason Robertson move, you can't get it wrong. The same way with the Avs and Marty Necas, you can't get it wrong. You have to nail that move, otherwise you're in real trouble long term.
All right, I'm pretty sure we're already in overtime, so we can just kind of wrap this up. Does anyone get an A grade in the Central for this offseason? Probably not.
He loves
an
Paterka.
A. I don't think I would give anybody an A. Again, I'm not going to give Utah credit for an A just for trying hard. I also think that some of the other things that they did, I don't love it. It's just that Paterka helps them. He's good. He fits their window. Like, he's good.
Utah's offseason, I think I would give a B-, which is good in the sense of it might be better than everyone else's in the Central, but that doesn't make it a really good offseason.
Yeah. Grading on a curve, I suppose it's an A, but right now I would give it a solid. Like I would give it a B.
Sure.
I would give it
fair
a B.
enough.
Sure.
You look at the rest and you're like, C's? The Avs get an incomplete?
Yeah. Dallas and Colorado, I would both say incomplete because clear holes that what's going on here. Minnesota, I would also say an incomplete because the Rossi situation unresolved, so I would also have an incomplete in Minnesota. But everybody else, I would be like C or worse.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know that there's much else to say. It was not an amazing offseason. I don't know. E, you want to give us some final thoughts here as a guy who's worked in the front office when you have an offseason like this? Is this just kind of the reality you face with a weak free agency class, or do you feel like there's more some of these teams could have done?
No, I think it's because you had it's rare you have plan later. Usually your plan A is right there at the draft because of the trades and the ability to make trades because of other teams wanting to dance and being a partner with you. So it's hard to say, but let's go for plan B. But a lot of teams, I believe the Avalanche. I think we all three of us believe the Avalanche. The plan, that's why it is an incomplete. And the plan was always that they were trying. If not, it was going to fall into this. The problem when it falls into this now, you have the mercy of a lot of waiting time and a lot of what ifs and a lot of change of hearts and a lot of when you're under the gun because of the draft and you want that pick. And, some teams are, I'll do it. Where now it's more like, I'll wait. So then it just drags. You know what I mean? Because there's no trigger points, right? So trigger points will be the start of the season. And when you lose 3-4 games, that's probably the next trigger point. Other than that, there's no trigger unless you're a team that needs to get under the cap, like you said. And, they're really strapped, where they're panicking towards the end of the summer. But other than that, I think it is an incomplete for all that. But it's kind of stinks because you're on a waiting pattern. It's tough on you as manager. It's tough on your fan base. It's tough on some players that you're saying, well, if you want to wait, I don't know, maybe that's the pattern they are with Kivi Ranta. I don't know. We're not in those discussions. But, hey, if you want to wait, maybe we'll have some room for you. Give us a little bit of time here. I went through it as a player. So I was told to wait till actually November I just decided not to. But it was more like, what? It's July. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean wait till November? Well, it's going to take us till November. And I'm like, what? It's ruthless. So it is what it is. So, but I would say the waiting part is what kind of stinks,
Yeah. All right. Central haters up big right now. We're going to wrap up today's show. We'll get out of here. We got a whole week coming to you, 5 days a week still. So tune in, keep it here at DNVR Sports. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.